Hi everyone, welcome to After Dark Analysis. Today is going to be part 3 of the Critical Android and I looking at things that scared us in childhood.
Going from things that I guess aren't supposed to be scary, but still have the elements of them. There were a series of three television shows that come to mind that weren't necessarily meant to be scary, but the subject matter was enough to where they terrified me as a kid. The first one was Unsolved Mysteries. And, Robert Stack coming out of a goddamn fog machine in a trench coat with that deep, gravelly voice to let you know about these horrible murders that we'll be covering tonight on Unsolved Mystery.
Yeah, no, my mother loved that show, and it's like that theme music told me to get the hell out of the room because...
Yeah! And you got the 80s synthesizer going, you got the heavy, thumping programmed drums that doot, 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 doot. It's just got horror written all over it. But the interesting thing about it was how they would take real-life situations, actual murders, and literally true unsolved crimes, and encourage people to call in and solve them. But at the same time they were doing those stories, they were also doing paranormal things about ghosts and alien abduction. And when you juxtapose true crime with the paranormal, it makes the paranormal that much more real.
Yeah, because it feels like you're getting this from a legitimate news source now instead of the speculation that it actually was.
Yeah, and there would be times where one of the worst things you'd want to hear is Jacob Smith killed 5 people and is still on the loose. He's wanted, armed, and dangerous. If you have any information, please call the mystery hotline. And then you see these episodes and you think, years later when they would re-air them, please let there be an update, please let there be an update. And then the voice would come in, update. Yes! Thank God they found him. And then you'd find out, after much investigation, hints were found of him, but unfortunately he got away. God damn you, Robert Stack!
Yeah, because my parents always reinforced the whole, well, if they didn't survive or weren't okay, they couldn't have told the story, which, Unsolved Mysteries obviously breaks that, because it's like, but people know the story and this person's dead!
Totally dead!
I understood death at a pretty early age, so...
Now, kidnapping was another scary one, especially when you're younger. And if you're happen to be watching these kids as like a 8 or 9-year-old and you're seeing these things, that's terrifying. Make you afraid of strangers fast.
That was also a huge trope in children's movies. It seemed like so many rested on kids getting kidnapped in just movies.
Yeah, and whether they be... Oh gosh, I can't even think of... Sometimes they would try to paint these out in more innocent kind of terms. Like I remember Dennis the Menace, where Dennis gets kidnapped by freaky Christopher Lloyd. And they just kind of paint it off as some sort of, he just got kidnapped. Now he's torturing the kidnapper because he's a rapscallion of a kid. Or Home Alone, where literally two grown men are trying to kill a young child in his home for the better part of an hour and a half. And this is childhood delight, fun Christmas movie.
Yeah, no, he just made a bunch of Rube Goldberg machines and, it was all good.
Yeah, that's fine. They're just trying to goddamn kidnap and kill a kid, but no, that's fine. It's family entertainment.
Yeah, no, that was a big thing running through our childhood. It might have been tied to the whole stranger danger thing they started pushing when we were kids, but...
Well, for good reason, but, again, they would try to... when you look back on it, a lot of these kids' movies had kids getting kidnapped, and they just painted it off as like, oh, he'll get away. It's like, no. Mm-hmm. Generally, when a kid gets kidnapped, they're dead.
Yeah.
They're dead. But that doesn't make for a good, effective kid storytelling.
Yeah, no, definitely not. It's like, yes, everything's trying to kill you. We have this VHS downstairs, and we still claim it to be our best find ever. It's called Saying No to Strangers, and I've yet to find it anywhere online. But it's about 3 different stories about, why you shouldn't go with strangers. The funny thing is, it isn't until about halfway through the actual thing they mention, oh, yeah, they're probably going to try and touch you if they get you into the car. Before it's, don't get in the car because they might be drunk or a bad driver.
Probably should have let off with their stronger piece of evidence there.
Yeah, it's just like, they might touch you. Is casually mentioned once. It's like, okay, so they could be drunk or just a bad driver. That's why I shouldn't go with a stranger. That's terrible logic.
Yeah. Going along with that, another one of the other ones, I guess the big 3 that scared me growing up was Rescue 911, which at least this one was clearly not meant to be a horror show.
Yeah.
It was kind of it was a reality show before reality shows were reality shows, essentially.
Exactly, yeah.
And it was just, you had William Shatner, narrating these stories of actual people who called into 911 about emergencies. And actually, this is kind of fucked up when you think about it, is that they would have the families reenact the scenes as if like they didn't go through a traumatizing shit to begin with, but then they would just hire them to like, hey, you guys want to reenact the scene that was completely traumatizing to you guys? Yeah, sure. And then they would do it, and they would interview, they'd do the talking about it, and I don't know if it was supposed to be fucking therapeutic or what the hell happened, but no, they were just, oh, go ahead, we'll throw you some money, you guys reenact what happened, we'll hire an actor to come in and play the guy who almost robbed you and killed you.
Yeah, it's like, Jesus Christ, at least Unsolved Mysteries used actors.
Yes.
Yeah. I think it gave that sense of reality that's terrifying.
Yeah, but Rescue 911, they had the actual people there most of the time. Sometimes they would say actors have been used to represent the simulation or whatever. But it was a terrifying show for me as a kid, but I was glued to it every single week. But you'd have things like about fires breaking out because of bad wiring, or somebody breaking into and robbing the house, or all these other terrible things, a kid running through a screen glass door. That'll mess you up thinking about that, especially when you have a screen glass door. Or oh man, think of this one. Kid was brushing his teeth, running with a toothbrush in his mouth, fell face first onto the floor, and guess where that toothbrush went?
Somewhere in the world, my grandmother is just shrieking at the idea of that. Like, my grandmother was very big on, like, don't run with anything in your mouth, you'll die. So, she's also the same reason I flinch anytime I walk across grass. Well, you don't get off the sidewalk, you don't walk on the grass.
Don't with a toothbrush in your mouth either. So yeah, that'll creep you out. And the other one that wasn't as popular, it started off as a syndicated show before it moved to the Sci-Fi Channel, was the show Sightings, hosted by Tim White.
Oh my god, I loved Sightings.
Yeah, well, I loved it too, but at the same time, it creeped me the fuck out. And I don't know why I'd repeatedly watch it, but the thing that was interesting about Sightings is they really tried to present this as, first of all, a pure paranormal show, but they structured it like Dateline NBC, where they would actually have different segments with production crews that would go out and interview people or set up these stories. And they would even have, like, the production credits. So you would actually have, like, a second unit team or a third unit, whatever, that would go out and treat these like mini documentaries. And so they're covering these topics that you would normally dedicate resources to for a legitimate news program, but treating it like a serious topic, even though sometimes it was ridiculous. Because you would go from topics where you'd have a UFO sighting to, I distinctly remember, they had one segment where this couple believed they were the reincarnation of King Arthur and Queen Guinevere. And I'm not going to slight anybody's belief in reincarnation. I am, however, going to say that if you're going to believe you're reincarnated, you should probably stick with actual people and not mythological figures that may or may not have been real.
Yeah, that's kind of an issue. That's kind of the line between, not squashing somebody's belief in reincarnation and being like, well, that's clearly a mental disorder, sweetie.
Hold on 1 second.
I believe I was watching an episode of Sightings, and when you were talking about it was presented like a real news program, my teacher at the time was talking about outer space, and I said something, and I apparently referenced something from Sightings, and she's like, well, where did you hear that? And I was like, oh, this is a show on Sci-Fi, and she's like, what Sci-Fi stand for? And I'm like, crap.
So you should have argued that Sightings was a first-run syndication program that originally aired on any network that wanted to purchase it, and then was picked up by the Sci-Fi Channel as part of a multi-season deal. But you were probably too young to know how syndications worked.
Yeah, it was like I was in maybe first, second grade.
Oh, well, that would do it. But yeah, Sightings was the other really terrifying one, especially anything that had to do with aliens and alien abduction. Since I lived out in a very rural area where, whenever abduction things happen or cases like this, it's never in the middle of a crowded city where the people are going to see all, like, the UFO from, 30,000 people are seeing it at one time.
Mm-hmm.
It's always the more remote ones, which technically, if you are an alien looking to abduct somebody, that's exactly what you would do.
Yeah, I mean, they need a place to land.
Yeah, so it makes perfect sense. And I was terrified of all this stuff. My dad's only advice was, well, when they abduct you, they erase your memories anyway, so it's not like you remember any of it, son.
I got they would return you.
Well, either way, it was not very good parenting advice, thanks, Dad.
Yeah, there's definitely a theme here going with that.
So those were three programs that were all kind of similar in nature, and that they weren't meant to be horror shows in terms of being absolutely terrifying, but they really terrified me.
Even though I didn't find it scary In Search Of, because it's similar to Sightings, but I guess it was so outdated by the time we were seeing it that it was just like, oh, this clearly isn't real. And that's Leonard Nimoy. I've seen Star Trek. I know who you are.
You can't fool me, Leonard Nimoy.
Yeah, because Rescue 911 is totally barred from the house, or my mother watched it and I was supposed to be out of the room whenever it came on. I couldn't remember the deal with that. 911 calls still to this day are terrifying. I don't think that's ever something you should get comfortable with, though.
No, ideally it shouldn't be. But it's worth noting that when 911 originally aired, the 911 emergency system was not available in all areas. And this is something that we take for granted today, and that you can dial 911 for emergency and get a responder there. But that wasn't a system that was in place nationwide at the time. And it's really easy to forget that we're talking the 90s, like the mid-90s, and 911 still was not a nationwide thing.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely terrifying. And this concludes part 3 of our look at things from childhood that shouldn't have been as scary as they were. Next time we will be talking a little bit about the things that carried into adulthood. If you like what you're seeing, please hit like, comment, subscribe. If you don't like what you're seeing, please leave a comment and let me know. Thank you.